Mecum, the world's largest collector car auction. Once again, Osceola Heritage Park was the site of the biggest and most significant event on the collector car calendar. Coming up in the next hour, we'll bring you the best moments of this 13-day automotive extravaganza that is truly second to none. We know that Mecum and Ferrari have a very good relationship, based in part on last year's result here in Kissimmee. Steve Matchett, we have a 1965 275 GTS on the block right now. Tell us about this car.
Well, it is absolutely fantastic landmark. It is a landmark car. It's the 275. It's basically the 250 engine, which was bored out at 275cc per cylinder. But that white, that Bianco white, I mean, it really does pop it. It just shows that it doesn't have to be red. We were saying that earlier on in the little feature. But the car looks great. The correct Ferrari wheels on it. The 275 is very desirable. Only 200 were built. I think this is number 6 of that production run of 200.
And that's not just in 1965. That's over a 2-year span.
Over a 2-year production span from Maranello. They produced just the 200. Very much the era of hand-built everything back in Maranello's history at this point in 65.
We are $50,000 away from $1 million bid.
I feel we've got to get there. This is the car that the Ferrari collectors world, they know it very well. It's a landmark car, and we are very wow. Well, this morning when I saw the car, Scott, I expected it to get here, but just to see it get to this figure is so thrilling.
Right.
It is thrilling.
Oh my gosh. The reserve is off.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good gracious.
This is what happens when two guys get into an arm wrestling match over a world-class car.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right, Scott, because the thing is, these guys know, the collectors know, the car is here right now. It's right now there. Yeah.
Here we go. On this 58 Corvette, Bill Stevens, $230,000.
That is unheard of. That is the best money we've seen in a long time for a 1958 Corvette. Granted, it's a fuel-injected car, and it has NPRS top-flight certification. But, ooh, that is heavy paper.
And that's a factory color. Okay, $100,000 since we've begun documenting this car. Wow. On the block with a 70 Hemi Superbird. The reserve is off at $700,000.
Yeah, this is a limelight color that people just get ravenous about. We don't see it that much. One of 58 Hemi 4-speed Superbirds out of the 1935 that were built. This was a cover car for the November 2014 issue of Muscle Car Review. 4-speed car as well. And just look at the bidder board. Need we make any other comments about the value of this Superbird? Wow.
Jimmy Landis, our auctioneer, on the lower left with the man in with the high bid in the upper left at worth $730,000. And there it is. Wow. We'll be back with more from Mecum coming up after the break. From 2005, when Ford decided that it would be fortuitous to bring this into production.
And the thing that they did, now Carmelo Pardo was the man responsible for designing this generation of the Ford GT. Ford basically told him, we want you to capture the spirit of those cars from the 1960s, but upgrade them a little bit. We don't just want a retro car. Man, I think he hit the bullseye. This is Mark IV Red. Mark IV, of course, is that 1967 Le Mans winner. And they wanted to symbolize that with the white stripes, all 4 options.
And this one gavels for $390,000. Much more still ahead as Mecum's Full Throttle from Kissimmee continues after the break. Welcome back to Mecum's Full Throttle from Kissimmee, Florida.
2019 Ford GT Liquid Red. 647 horsepower, 3.5 liter twin turbo, V6, 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, push button activated front lift system, electronic active shock absorbers, Brembo carbon ceramic 4-wheel disc brakes, lots of carbon fiber, light active aero front and rear.
There it is, $800,000.
Quite a day for Ford GTs.
This one is sell you no reserve. It is the most desirable of that 0506 run.
Correct. These usually sell at a premium. Only 71 original miles on this Ford GT. You probably know the specs as well as we do. Supercharged 5.4, 550 horse, 6-speed transaxle. Brembo 4-wheel disc brakes. BBS lightweight wheels, painted calipers. Of course, with this Heritage Edition, that paint livery, you still get those stripes, but instead of white, you get an orange against the blue.
Better hope he doesn't go do that to him.
I think he's going to still stay in or get back in. There he is. Yes.
So listen here. You can't end now. They got 900. Let's just do 920. Would you stop with these 10s? Do the 25.
$910,000. How we done? Last call, guys. 900, 910, 20. Hasn't even get here. 20. So
$910,000. It's a '69 L88 Corvette that is unrestored.
Unrestored, and a great story behind this car. This is the year that the L88 had its swan song, and this particular one, unrestored, original. Even the dust on the engine is original. If you take a look at that, it has Survivor Awards. It is original and unrestored. It's in the Bloomington Gold Hall of Fame.
675.
700,000 on a bid. Reserve.
Oh my goodness, the reserve's off.
Well, that would please Chip Miller, the late Chip Miller, if he were to see this. And I hope that the new owner appreciates this car as much as they should. Wow.
690,000 for a unrestored 6,000 mile L88.
Made my day, Scott Hope.
Right now, we go back to the very beginning with at least the second 53 Corvette that we've had this week.
And it's got that Blue Flame 6, 150 horsepower with the Power Glide automatic.
$300,000 for this one. A 1932 Packard 905 twin 6 convertible Victoria. And Bill, you want to talk about rare? One of 3 that are known to exist.
Yeah, and they only built 10. That's the best documentation that they could find on these cars. And you see that long hood? The V12 engine. Lots of power. And remember, this is just after the Great Depression that ravaged the economy. And the number of people that could afford cars like this had dwindled, but they were still being produced.
Would you like 450? Reserve is off.
Look at this, the reserve off at 4 1/4. $450,000.
Let's keep it going with this 2021 Carbon Series coupe, 1 of 50. And of course, you know, the technology and the performance in these cars almost from another universe. This one with 660 horsepower, that twin turbo 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6, the 7-speed dual clutch semi-automatic transmission. Either drive it in automatic mode or you can shift it yourself, but This is a car that so many people would lust to own, but only the very well-heeled will ever get a chance to experience it.
Reserve 900, right? You want me to lift it?
And the reserve is off at $890,000. And Jesse Cobb drops the hammer. $890 buys that Carbon Series GT. We'll have more from Kissimmee in just a moment. You're watching Mecum Full Throttle on Motor Trend. Welcome back to Kissimmee, and let's get right back out to the auction block. We have Auto Racing Royalty next, and we lead off the Gary and Jackie Runyon collection right now with a 1959 Curtis Epperly IndyCar. We talked about A.J. Foyt's 90th birthday earlier this week. He drove this car.
Yep, he did. Four-time Indianapolis 500 winner. Scored 2 second-place finishes at Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Mile, and a third-place finish in Trenton in this car. And that name that we've talked about, Scott Frank Curtis, built this automobile for the 1959 season.
Sold 500,000. Sold.
Jackie and Gary Runyon collection leads off with a $500,000 hammer price on that A.J. Foyt car. Look at this one. You're not going to believe it. A 1966 Lola, driven by none other than Jackie Stewart, 3-time Formula One world champion.
The Flying Scot, yep. And did I mention the rear engine revolution at Indianapolis? Well, this was year number 2 of that transition from front engine to rear engine cars. Jackie was Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year. He won that over his winning teammate of the race, Graham Hill.
Sold 650. Sold. Take the internet.
Okay, here is another 63 Watson Offie.
Yeah, you know, Roger Ward, what a great driver he was. A 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner. 4th place finish in the 1963 Indianapolis 500. And it's just a great example of the front engine Offenhauser Indy car. 255 cubic inch Offie in this car.
Look at that.
Yeah.
$320,000. Okay, here is a 2022 Lamborghini Huracan STO with only 42 miles to its credit.
That's it, 42 miles, 631 horsepower, V10, 5.2 liters, automatic transmission. And although it's not officially Golf livery, you certainly do see the similarity with the blue and the orange, no doubt.
So, and a $400,000 hammer price. When's the last time you heard anybody say, hey, let's do some off-road driving? Okay, I'll get my Lambo.
This is the 2024 Lamborghini Huracan Storato, and this is an off-road Lamborghini. And one of the things that you can, I guess, basically tell that this is not your garden variety Lamborghini, the air intakes have been elevated on the car, so when you're out in the boonies and picking up dust, the engine doesn't inhale it. 602 horse, 5.2 liter V10 with an automatic. A little more ground clearance than your Huracan Evo, almost 2 inches more of ground clearance in it. That's the snorkel, by the way, up on the roof. Again, that's the main pathway for air to get into the engine.
Well, this one gavels for $330,000. Time for a 2023 Porsche 911 all-wheel drive.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go racing now, Scott.
The Dakar.
Yeah, one of the most famous off-road races in the world. 3 liters, 473 horsepower. Out of that flat 6 automatic transmission. And it's in rally livery. There you go. White shocks, car, rally. Lots of extras. Lots of extras. The paint, the interior, the extended leather package. That's black leather and the Alcantara inside, carbon fiber roof. 18-way power heated adaptive sports seats. 18-way.
18.
I can't think of 18 different directions. And these seats will go 18 different ways. What a car.
$285,000. Bill, I'm going to turn you loose on this 65 GT350 that was delivered new to Tasca Ford.
Yes, the home dealership of my good friend Bob Tasca III. His grandfather, Bob Tasca I. So important in the high-performance world back in the 60s. And it was sold new by Mutual Ford in Springfield. So this is a Northeastern car. But more importantly, at the Shelby American Automobile Convention, it was a Gold Concours winner. So that tells you just about all you need to know about the condition and the presentation. One owner for 34 years. And a featured display car at the SEMA show for Coney shocks. These cars came equipped from Shelby with the Coney shock absorbers. 289, 306 horsepower engine. Started life as a K-Code 271, and Carroll Shelby's boys kind of tweaked it up a little bit as the original T10 4-speed. And these cars, as you can see by the bidding, this is the kind of money that you would have expected not long ago for an R model. Right, 3 dozen of those. But this is a street car, and we are cracking $500,000.
This is a heavyweight title fight here.
Got it, now 50, now 850, 800, 850, trying to get 800,000, another day to get 50, trying to get 800 cents, 850. You want to up it? You can die. 900,000, got 899. Okay, 8, now 9, trying to get 850, now 9.
This was not a super limited production car. Over 500 of these street cars were built, but they have not lost any of their luster with collectors.
875, 900,
Oh.
900,000, now 925, 900 to bid, 925.
You know, as strong as this is, Bill, you got to believe. Oh, look at the two contenders shake hands there, and I think we're done.
Might be.
That is well above. Not surprising that it's strong money, but it's well above what we would have anticipated for this car, and that has a lot to do with 2 guys in the room that want the car so badly.
Yeah, finally one emerges the victor, and I am jealous. I am so jealous. I have never owned one of those cars, but would love to.
We'll be back with more from Mecum Kissimmee coming up after the break. Welcome back to Mecum Kissimmee from the Osceola Heritage Park. And this may be one of the all-timers. It's a split window coupe, but it's a Z06 and 03 in addition.
Well, where do I begin? Neighbor Brothers restoration completed in 2015. It's a top flight car, Bloomington Gold certified. Has the big 36.5-gallon gasoline tank. It's a tanker. Z06 special heavy-duty brakes and suspension. Yep, all of the parts and pieces we're talking about set that Z06 package apart from your usual split window coupe.
$465,000.
C1 Corvette, the 1957 Chevy Corvette you see before you, and one of only 43 big brake airbox Corvettes. We know about the big brakes, the racing brakes. There you see the fuel-injected 283 cubic inch engine with 283 horsepower, but the airbox, kind of a primitive way of plumbing ram air into this induction system. Special plenum intake. Through that duct on the driver's side fender well, that air was brought right into the engine room and the fuel injection. Heavy-duty brakes and suspension. And even though this is a big brake car, there were certainly other components underneath that were strengthened and set up for racing.
Oh, my goodness. The Corvette insanity continues. $650 for that. And now, Ford GT 2006. in this livery is commonly called the Heritage Edition.
These 2006 Heritage cars are the must-have 4GTs for so many people. You're probably very familiar now with the powertrain, that 5.4-liter supercharged V8 with 550 horse and a 6-speed transaxle. An honest-to-goodness 200-mile-an-hour American exotic.
750, the reserve is off.
It's just astonishing how much more these heritage liveries are going for versus a different paint scheme on that 2005 or 6 generation GTs. It's amazing.
Yep. And the point I make is that this paint job went on the Ford GT a year after Ford got out of the GT program when John Wyer took over.
Ironically, yep.
Yeah.
$775,000. Bill, would you care to interject a little bit on this 63 split window coupe?
Be my pleasure. This is another Z06. And this one right here, again, like so many others, trading in the mid $400,000 range, $445,000. And this has all of the things you would expect on a 63 Z06, from the fueling motor, heavy-duty suspension and brakes. And I never get tired of these. I hope we get another one soon.
Okay, movie fans and Austin Powers aficionados, here you go. Boy, this thing has gotten so much traffic on the internet.
Yeah.
It's a Kissimmee. It's the Jaguar.
Yeah, this was one of the top cars being viewed on the Mecum website leading up to Kissimmee.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, please.
I'm done.
Okay. Love you, man. Yeah, this, right-hand drive, but the mechanicals, nothing really unusual right there. That's not the story on this car. Obviously, it was in all 3 Austin Powers motion pictures. And there was not a double car produced for these films. This is the only car that was used that Michael Myers drove and tooled around with Elizabeth Hurley. And look at the bidding. Wow. Yeah.
$800,000, 800, even better. I think we should let them know it's for sale. And it is. Reserve is off. $800,000. Guess that.
The reserve is off.
Asking 800,000.
Yeah,
like that.
750.
Yeah.
That gentleman has just picked up a little bit of movie Jaguar history. Hey, it's Hemi time. It's a Hemi Cuda 1971. True blue paint.
4.25 horse, 426, 4-speed manual with a Hurst pistol grip shifter, 354, track pack rear end, that's the 833 code, third member. One of 59 Hemi Cudas built with a 4-speed for 1971. So there is some rarity attached to Hemi Cuda.
$450,000. Check this out, 2006 Ford GT.
Well, if you like that color, tungsten gray, just be aware that's the only year, 2006, that color wasn't available. It's got the stripes, Macintosh, stereo, VBS sports aluminum wheels, and paint calipers. And by now, if you don't know that those are all 4 options, well, 550 horse, 9.4-liter, supercharged V8 Ricardo 6-speed transaction.
Oh, the reserve's off. We're going to sell another one.
Another one.
435 is the bid.
Boy, they could have used that tungsten gray on other year for GT. It's easy to the eye, huh?
Much more still ahead as Mecum's Full Throttle from Kissimmee continues after the break. Welcome back to Mecum's Full Throttle from Kissimmee, Florida. The legendary 1957 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Galway. Oh, God, that legacy
see, explore, continue to fascinate everyone, Steve Nash.
Oh boy, it is an absolute legendary car. Arguably one of the most desirable vehicles ever made. But I just want to point out this feature, for those viewers that may not be over-familiar with engineering principles, the reason that the gull-wing doors exist while we have them mounted in this position is because all of this area along the flank of the car down here is filled with a lattice work of tubes, which gives the chassis its structural strength.
$1.35 million. We move on to a 2022 Ferrari 812 Competizione.
It's the competition version of the 812, 6.5 litre, up the horsepower, 820 horsepower, no curve system on it. Absolutely fantastic. Bill, the other day we were talking about the bodywork styling on the early Ferraris, and we talked about the catback styling on some of those early cars.
Yep.
Take a look at the rear styling of this car around the rear of the bodywork, and tell me that it doesn't look exactly like the Ferrari P4 from the 1960s. It's exactly what Maranello were going for.
One of the more successful prototype cars in Ferrari motorsports history, the P4.
Yes, and it's round here. It's these flares here, coming up to the spoiler at the back here, and round here. This is Maranello's nod to the P4. But if you didn't know, once again, when we talk about Ferrari, always referring back to their history, to their latest creations, there it is. I mean, it is absolutely crackling with the latest electronics on the inside. Virtual short wheelbase, which allows the car to work so well. Just amazing. And I just heard the reserves gone.
You heard correctly, Steve Matchett. Yes, indeed. 1.4 million was the number to trigger that event, the reserve coming off. And there we go with a hammer price at 1.4 million. Rare upon rare, Bill Stevens, a 1930 Ruxton Model C Roadster. I would say 99% of the people in this room have never seen one in their lives and might never again.
No, I haven't heard of it. This is a vehicle that really wasn't around that long. The Ruxton was an elegant, beautifully engineered car. You see how low with the body sits on the chassis. That's one of the things that distinguished the Ruxton. And everything first rate, all of the construction, the craftsmanship, from the outside, the inside, the interior, the engineering, for the motor and transmission, all as good as anything you could get back in 1930. But again, not a car that had a very long shelf life. It's been in the Clifford's collection since 1995. 4.4 liter inline straight A with a 3-speed manual transmission. That two-tone blue paint job, again, that was scandalous back in 1930. Have a car during the Great Depression that looked like it was having such a good time. And whoa, baby, reserve is on.
$100,000 front-wheel drive also on this car. Look at this. $1 million bid for that 1930 Ruxton, and that is over and above what the published pre-auction estimate was on this car, Bill.
For a car that few people have even heard of before.
Bill, it's standing room only as people cannot get enough of this car that just sold for $1.4 million. And now we will dial up this 2023 Ford GT Mark IV. One of only 67 built. Well, Steve Matchett, we are approaching $1 million bid on this car, and there it is. Tell us more about it.
It is an absolutely stunning piece of automotive engineering, guys. Chassis 1 of the GT, full GT Mark IV. But what we're looking at here is the car, the race car, free of all technical and sporting regulations for any particular government body. So any racing series
164 GT40 Mark I road car. So historic, Bill.
Oh, historic is a understatement. 131 Mark I road cars that were produced. This could have been a race car itself at one time during its ownership. An owner actually got out there and competed with this car, but it was originally designed to be driven on the street. 289. 4 small block, well carbureted, so downdraft 48 IPA. Cranking out 335 horsepower. 5-speed transaxle.
The reserve is off at 6.2 million. Now 6.3. And then there was one. What a move. Well, that will do it for this edition of Mecum Full Throttle. I'm Scott Hope. Thanks for watching. So long from Kissimmee.